we can start with the first talk, which is the introduction to the CheckThat lab from Tamer El Sayed.
Okay, I think you see my slides now and you hear me.
I do, go on.
Okay, thanks Giovanni. I'm really pleased to give the introductory talk for today's sessions, actually this session and the whole day for the lab. And let me first start by explaining why we are all here today. And we are all here today not because of Trump, of course, but because of the fact that fake news are everywhere around us, and we need to take an action, and we should have a role in fighting it. So how we can do that? Well, when we have a suspicious piece of news, we could be upset with it and start to share it with our friends, and that will make more people upset around the world. Or the other alternative is to wonder whether this is actually true or not. And to do so, we need to, you need to check it out. And that's exactly the story of our lab, which is called CheckThat, for exactly that reason. If we want to look at CheckThat lab in a nutshell, here is just one slide for that. Since we started the lab in 2018, we focused on mainly two major tasks. The first one is to check whether a piece of news or a piece of text actually worthy to check. And if that's the case, then we go to the second step, which is the verification step, to know whether this is true or false. So that's mainly the story of the lab, or the idea of the lab. We started in 2018 with debates as the source of the claims, and then also we added the web in the second year as a source of evidence for verification. And finally, this year we added the social media side, because we thought that now almost all the news are spreading over the social media, so we have to really look at the social media side. In 2018, we started with the two major tasks, as I said, on debates. We had 9 teams participated in the lab, submitted 35 runs. In the second year, we had more interest. We had 14 teams, submitted 57 runs. We expanded the second task a bit. We still worked on debates for the checkworthiness, but we extended the second task a little bit more than the first year. Now let's switch to the third edition, which is CheckThat 2020 this year. In this edition, we try to follow what we think the pipeline that the good citizen and journalists also hopefully will follow when they see something that can be fake. So the first step, as I said, we are, let me make sure that this is visible here. We are dealing only with, for now, we are dealing with tweets. And for every tweet, we need to check whether it's worth to check or not, or check worthy or not. Or if I'm a journalist, will I make it a priority for my job or for myself to check this tweet out for whether it's true or false. If it's not check worthy, then we should relax. We should not do anything with that tweet. We should maybe continue with others. And if yes, it's check worthy, then we need to first, before we go and verify it, we need to check if it's already verified in the past or not. If it's already verified, then we should relax. We should know whether it's fake or not. And if not, then we should go through the verification process. The first step in the verification process is to retrieve evidence for or against that claim. And then based on that evidence, we can verify the claim to be true or false. So that's the whole pipeline that we try to support this year. We actually defined 4 tasks on this pipeline. Task 1 is checkworthiness. Task 2, whether the claim is verified before or not. Task 3, retrieving evidence. And task 4 is verifying the checkworthy claim. And we also added a fifth task that is exactly similar to task 1, but instead of tweets, we extended our work in the previous two editions on debates and other related text. So we will start giving a quick overview of each of the 5 tasks this year. The first task is the check worthiness. We conducted this task on 2 languages, Arabic and English. So I will start with Arabic here, just because it's the first time actually to do it on Arabic this year. In the previous 2 years, we did it in English. Since it was the first time, we had to create a new data set. So for that, we manually created 15 trending topics at the time, I think around March and April, over several months. Example of that, of course, had to be COVID-19, coronavirus in the Arab world, and also the of century. We had actually 15 like these kind of topics. For every topic, we crawled 1 week stream using Twitter Search API. For every topic, we ranked the tweets by popularity, and we defined popularity here by the sum of retweets and likes for each topic. And then we selected the top 500 per topic to be annotated. Eventually, as I said, we had 15 topics. We annotated 3 for training and 12 for testing. Of course, that might look odd, but that's usual in a first run of any test, that we have limited time for training first, and then we have more time for testing. So we wanted to share training data as soon as we can. So we shared 3 topics for training, and then we had the rest for testing. The annotations, of course, we focused only on tweets that are relevant to the topics and contain factual claims. To annotate every tweet of those tweets that are relevant and having factual claims, we asked the annotators to answer first the 3 following questions: whether the tweet is of interest to the public, whether it is harmful or not, and whether a journalist would be interested in covering that claim and maybe verifying it. And the 4th one is a very straightforward question about check worthiness. Do you think that this claim in that tweet is worthy to check or to verify or not? The first 3 questions were just given to make the annotator think about the claim more. And then the 4th one is actually the one that we use to determine the label for the tweet. Overall, we had out of the 15 topics, like 7.5K tweets, we had just about 2,000 check-worthy claims based on our annotations, which is about 27.5% of the entire data set. In terms of approaches, we had 8 teams participated. Many of them will present today, so I will not say much about that here, but mainly many of them tried to use pre-existing pre-trained models like BERT, and in our case in the Arabic we have AraBERT and also multilingual BERT and BERT. The teams use that with of course with fine-tuning, and they used for classification still neural network models and other models like SVM and the logistic regression in that case. Some of the teams used static representation of static embeddings like GLOV and Word2Vec. They used other also features like sentiment features or morphological features. And some of them actually did machine translation, because this task was in Arabic. There is several data sets already annotated in English, so they used that. They did machine translation, and they used the translated versions for training. The task was modeled as ranking task. As you see here, the evaluation measure, the official measure was precision at 30. The reason for that was that we are having a tweet for a week. So we thought that a journalist might be able to verify 30 claims per week. Actually, I would like to see the reaction of our guests later today about this, whether this is actually feasible or not. We had 2 baselines here. one that just rank the tweets based on their popularity, and the other for recency. And you will see that most of the runs were actually well above the performance of the baseline. The best performing team used Arabert for as a pre-trained model for solving this problem. Looking at the numbers, they are pretty good. So precision at 30 to be 0.7, that's not bad. So the task was not very hard, especially it was the first time. But still, we have a big range for future improvement. For English, we focused only on a single topic, of course, based on the context at the time was COVID-19. We selected the most retweeted tweets for the crawled tweets. And similar to what we had in English, we had also kind of similar questions to the annotator, whether the tweet appeared to contain false information or not, is it of interest to the public, to the general public, and whether it is harmful to the society or anyone or not. And then we asked the annotator to explicitly say whether a professional fact checker should verify this claim or not, which in other words means whether it's checkworthy or not. This is the distribution of the data set. Overall, I think we had kind of 1,000 tweets divided between training, development, and test. Actually more, about 1,000. 12 teams participated. That's a bit more than Arabic, and that was of course expected since the task was already introduced in the previous 2 editions in English. Again, here pre-trained models, BERT and Roberta, using neural network based approaches like bilingual LSTM and CNN. Also traditional machine learning models like logistic regression, SVM. Again, static representations and some features like here more linguistic, like part of speech tagging and named entities. In terms of performance against ranking, the mean average precision, because just we have one topic here, mean average precision was the official measure. Again, the teams performed much better than the baseline, which was simple n-gram-based model. You will notice that the best performing team used Roberta, and you will notice that the numbers here are a bit higher than the Arabic version. We still need to analyze why that. Maybe because there were more training data available because of the previous editions, but it's clear here that it might look a bit easier. And maybe also because we just had one topic. In Arabic, we had 15 topics or 12 for testing. Here, we just had one topic. I will switch to task 5 because it's very similar to task 1. It's exactly the same, except that we have here debates, speeches, interviews, and town halls. In total, we had transcripts of 70 of these. 15 were shared for training and 20 for testing. And here we are talking about sentences, not of course tweets. So for every transcript, we have their sentences, and we need to rank these sentences based on whether they are checkworthy or not. In that task, 3 teams participated. Of course, that's a bit lower than what we had in the previous editions of the lab, and maybe because of the introduction of new tasks this year. The official measure was again mean average precision, and there was only one team who got better than the n-gram baseline. You'll notice here that again, GLOV and BioLSTM was the best performing, but you will notice that the performance here are much, much lower in numbers than the performance for task 1. Here we are talking about 0.087 in MAB. I think the other side for English was like 0.8. There's a much bigger gap between the performance in the 2 tasks. So it might look much harder, this task, not compared to the tweets. We need to really analyze why is that for the next edition, inshallah. For task 2, just as a reminder, task 2 was about checking whether the claim that is check-worthy already was verified in the past or not. Because if it's verified, then we are done. We should not actually continue to verify it. So we modeled this task as a very similar to retrieval tasks. We had claims, we had tweets, and each tweet we try, or the systems try for each tweet. Sorry about that. For every system, for every tweet, we need to find within a database of verified claims if there is a claim that can use to verify that the claim in that tweet or not. So we collected claims and we collected tweets. Both initially were from Snopes, but we augmented the set of claims from the claims knowledge graph. In total, we had more than 10,000 verified claims, and the tweets that we want to match against these claims were about 1,200 tweets divided between training, development, and test. 8 teams participated in that task. I forgot to say that this was a completely new task this year. We didn't have it before in the previous 2 editions. So the participation here was quite good for us. And again, the teams, of course, use different models. Here, because it's kind of a retrieval task, there was tendency to use retrieval engines like Terrier and Elasticsearch, plus, of course, using the fine-tuning idea. But seems like first round was to get something that is potentially relevant from the database using retrieval engines. In terms of performance, we used map at 5 because we really need to focus on the top, very top retrieved claims from the database. The performance was much better than the baseline, which used just Elasticsearch to retrieve relevant claims. And the best team used Roberta again. So Roberta is kind of pattern here so far. Looking at the numbers here, precision at 5 is 0.929, which means that we are almost getting the one matched claim almost all the time. Even if we looked at precision at 1, it's kind of 0.9. So there's a discussion point here whether this task is really easy. I would say that maybe the data set was small. Maybe we should increase it next time. If we will run that task, you will see, inshallah, later today or also on Friday. That's a question that we need to answer. Whether I personally think that it's a matter of the size of the database, because we are retrieving from a small database eventually. Task 3 and Task 4 ran only on Arabic, and they were about retrieving evidence and verification. The first one was for evidence. The evidence here was just a list of snippets from web pages. So we had to find web pages that are potentially relevant for the claims, which were tweets originally, and split them into small snippets. And we asked the teams to find among these snippets which ones can support the verification of the given claim. For annotations, we had to, due to the limited time and the context of COVID, we had to limit our annotation budget, and we had to do pooling for that task, which means that we will only, or we had only to annotate the tweets that are the result of the teams. So eventually, we annotated only 3,700 snippets, and among them, we had only 95 found to be evidence. That means that this data set in particular in contrast to the other datasets in the lab, is not reusable because we just annotated the output of the teams that participated. Actually, we only had one team participated, so that's even harder to be reused. That team, inshallah, will present. You will see that they used mainly two basic features: similarity between the claim and the snippets, and some linguistic features. The best achieved performance was really, really low, so we wouldn't keep that as a representation of whether the task is really hard or not, because just one team, so we cannot be conclusive here.
Sorry,
yes.
Can you try to wrap up? We almost have no time for you.
Okay, 1 minute.
Please.
Okay, so for task 5, again, one team only participated. That's the same team that participated in task 4, and that's kind of a discussion point that we might actually raise, or whether task 3 and 4 was actually attractive, or maybe we should change something there. But the performance for that task was much better than the previous one. Overall, this is the big picture of the lab so far in terms of languages, Arabic and English so far. In terms of tasks, we had the factuality task, the checkworthiness task, with some subtasks within the factuality task. And in terms of data sources, we started with debates, speeches, and we added web pages, and we added tweets in the last year. And the participation went up this year from 14 teams to 23, and from 57 rounds to 86 rounds eventually. Here is the program. I would like to bring your attention to the fact that we have 3 sessions today. Each one has 5 to 6 talks, and there's a star session at the end in which we host 3 actual fact-checking companies to share their experience with us. So don't miss that if you will ever miss anything from the lab today. The takeaway messages: we offered 5 tasks. Tasks 1 and 2 attracted more teams. The performance changed over the tasks. The maturity of the systems actually differ among the tasks. Most of them used fine-tuning over pre-trained models. Roberta was a pattern there. This is a kind of discussion question, then takeaway message. Are we missing important steps here in the pipeline that we need to cover in the next edition, or maybe the future editions? And stay tuned for the version of next year. I would like to thank eventually all the great organizing team. I cannot, because I don't have time from Giovanni, I cannot name them, but they are all here, I think, in the session. I would like to really, really thank them greatly for their effort during the year. Thank you.
Thank you, Tamer, very much. Is there any question? Maybe we can get a quick one. I don't see any raised hands or anything on the chat.
So everything was clear then?
It was perfectly clear, crystal clear.